Hey there guys, welcome back to another buyer's guide, this time on the Object 248. This is a rank 4 battle rating 6.7 heavy tank in the Soviet tech tree, originally from the field testing battle pass, and is currently available for purchase on the Gaijin marketplace, usually selling for between 60 and 70 Gaijin coin. And unlike many other marketplace vehicles, this one is indeed a premium, so you will not have to stock grind it, and in fact it has the best SL and RP multipliers of any rank 4 ground premium in the Soviet tree. The main questions we'll be looking at are, how well does this thing stack up against the other 6.7 heavies, and should you consider it as an alternative to some of the other Soviet ground premiums?
Just do it!
So, to be clear, this vehicle is basically just an IS-2, but it replaces the 122mm gun with a much faster firing 100mm gun, which is very similar to what you would find on a T-54. This results in your reload speed decreasing from 20.8 seconds all the way down to 8.5 seconds with an aced crew. And while you might expect such a drastically reduced reload speed to cost you in terms of firepower, in terms of penetration, the difference between the 100 and the 122 is pretty much negligible, and you actually get a 100mm per second bump in velocity. The only real downside is that you lose out on some of that HE filler, and to be honest, this was a drawback I felt more than I was expecting to, since you're dealing with a lot of enemies like Panthers, Tiger IIs, and American T-Series heavy tanks, which all just have an absolute ton of dead space in their holes. Additionally, it has the same major drawback as the normal IS-2, which is its absolutely abysmal 3 degrees of gun depression, which means that even on slight inclines you're going to start having trouble. You'll see some gameplay in a minute here that shows just how much of a pain in the ass that can be sometimes. And this ultimately begs the question of just how competitive it is against its foreign counterparts. I'll use the Tiger IIH and the American T-34 as direct comparisons here. In terms of mobility, none of these vehicles are really anything to write home about, and in terms of firepower, while there are certainly some differences, all of these vehicles are at least roughly comparable. Aside from the Object 248's terrible gun depression, of course. When we look at armor, though, that's when we start to see the real divergence. If we test all three of these vehicles' frontal armor against the Object 248's APHE shell, we see that the Tiger II is really only vulnerable in the turret cheeks and the MG port. The T-34 is a bit worse, but still is resistant. But the Object 248 is completely vulnerable across nearly all of its frontal profile. And if you look even closer, you'll notice that parts of the turret cheeks and the lower frontal plate are only 100mm thick, which means that at close range, even the 30mm pea shooter on the Fox can frontally penetrate you. Also, because of how tightly together the crew are packed, any penetrating hit is going to have a much higher chance of killing you instantly. So overall, while this thing is definitely not the top 6.7 heavy, I would still say it's decent. If you enjoy the IS-2 and you would like an IS-2 with a significantly faster reload speed, then you're probably going to like this thing. It's still perfectly capable of doing well if you know what you're doing. Also, it has plenty of vehicles it can run with in a lineup, which further adds to its competitiveness. These include the T-44, the IS-2 1944, the Su-122-54, as well as plenty of other 6.3s you can drag up if you feel like it as well. On the cast side, the Soviet air tree is a bit sparse at this BR, but you're not quite high enough in BR where you can run into radar-guided SPAA yet, so you can pretty much take whatever lower-tier aircraft you like, and they'll still be somewhat usable for the most part. So if you're looking for a mid-tier premium to grind out the Soviet tech tree and can either get a good deal on this thing on the marketplace or just happen to have a bunch of extra Gaijin coins sitting around, I still think this is a solid 7 out of 10 pickup, even if it does have its drawbacks compared to some of the other 6.7 heavy tanks. While it's by no means the strongest vehicle for the BR, it's still definitely not bad, and considering the very nice reward multipliers it has, it's still a very good grinding vehicle if nothing else. That's going to be all for this one. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing for more. For more similar content, check out the video I've linked in the end screen, leave feedback in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.